Everyone this evening. Thank you so much for being a part of this phenomenal presentation about starting a business in 2021. I'm very passionate. I'm very excited to see all the programs that Leslie has starting over there for the new year, especially for businesses and those who want to start their businesses. I definitely encourage you all to take advantage of the library resources and how they may benefit your business and or career. A lot of free stuff there. And listen, if you're a business owner, you learn to love free. But as you can see there, the title of the presentation is So You Want to Start a Business. But not only do you just want to start a business, you want to start a business in 2021, in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of us coming out of 2020. Go figure. Lots of stuff. And is there any difference for starting a business in 2021 versus any other year? We'll talk about that a little bit. And I'm excited to jump into our agenda. As you can see here, nothing super over the top. I try to make it very interactive. I'll mention a little in a few different times. Please ask questions. Leslie will jump in and interrupt me and say, hey, Peter, there's a question coming up. So I would love to address any questions that come to mind about it. There's some specific things that we'll talk about, specifically mindset of an entrepreneur. And we'll even return to mindset later on because that's how important it is. But there's some other things, some important things that you need to think about if you are starting a business, if you've never started a business, or maybe you've even in the process of doing so or have already started. This is definitely the way to go. And I love this graphic here. And I wish I could find this tree, but it hasn't come to me yet. And I'm still looking, but for some reason, they tell me it's out there, but I don't know if money actually does grow on trees. So in the meantime, I'll keep the grinding in my business that I enjoy so much as well. Here's a little bit about me. This is my road, my journey in life. I've worked at all of these different companies. Some are more familiar than others. I've worked at all these companies over the course of my life. I've jumped careers quite a few times, as you noticed there as well. I'm settled now at the College of DuPage. I'm a professor of business and entrepreneurship at the College of DuPage. And I also own my own firm, which is a consulting and coaching firm, amongst other things amongst other entrepreneurial ventures that I have. Real estate, I'm dabbling in some education, pseudo educational firms as well. So different things that I'm doing, but this was a little bit of my journey. I spent some time in the Army years back. And then, this is enough about me. I kind of want to know who's in the room a little bit. So maybe can you let Leslie know who you are and what industry you're a part of? If you don't mind, I would love to hear from you just to make sure that you're with me and make sure you can ask any questions as possible. So who is with us today? And tell us a little bit about yourself if you could. Maybe just a quick blurb, what industry you're in or what business you'd like to start.
I just sent everyone a chat, but please feel free to send your comments in the chat box and I can read them out.
Awesome stuff. Definitely dying to hear from you all out there. Please don't be bashful. This is going to be very fun and interactive. We're going to make this very enjoyable. So let me know who you are. You can just give me your first name and what business you're thinking about or what industry you're part of right now as well. Wait a few minutes or maybe 60 seconds or so. Now we need the Jeopardy music.
I'll try to work on that for next time. I didn't think about it this time, but by the second time we have you, we'll get there.
I know, right? Anybody want to chime in tonight? Somebody's got to give me a name in an industry or a name in a business. Because I need questions. I do so much better if there are questions.
All right, here we go. Elizabeth has a handmade crafting business and she also does workshops.
Nice, Elizabeth. Definitely good stuff. Hopefully you're on social media, especially Instagram, promoting some of your stuff. We can maybe talk about that a little bit later on as needed. Anybody else out there? Name, what are you doing? What are your industry you're in? Anybody else? Just leave a few more seconds for someone else. Do, 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 do.
If we get anyone
Right.
else, I'll definitely read them to you and we'll
Please
reach
let
out for
me,
questions.
please, please let me know, Leslie. Thank you so much as well. And I do want to encourage you all who are out there watching, the audience members. This is very interactive, so don't hesitate to provide any questions you might have for me as we move along this journey, because this is a unique uh, workshop as it relates to entrepreneurship, starting your business, or even just business in general. And I think it's important, and this is going to be a blanket statement, and people may get appalled at it, but I think everyone should start their own business. Everyone. Why do I say that? I say that first and foremost because jobs are not quite what they used to be in our world. Gone are the days where we're all working on the assembly plant and we're building things and we're passing it along to the next person. Those days are not quite like they used to be. Very rarely do you find someone who still works in a plant. It's like becoming more rarer and rarer these days. And I will even tell you, this is also becoming a little bit rarer and rarer. The cubicle. Of course, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so most everyone is work from home, but the cubicles are giving way to more co-working spaces and more open air spaces. So the cubicle as we know it is shifting a little bit as well. So, and then here's the thing, not many of us have the opportunity to work with a crew like this as well. I wish I could have worked with the guys from the office. That's more or less a dream of mine. And they're so quirky as well. I don't know if I could survive in that environment also. Here's the other thing about business. It's a very cyclical game. And so here, if you notice the screen that's on the slide that's on the screen right now, unemployment ebbs and flows. And so right now, if you notice, this graph ends at 2019. It's not showing 2020 and 2021 and what unemployment is like. But if you notice what the unemployment numbers look like, they continue to do this type of thing right here. They ebb and they flow. We just happen to be now in the ebb perspective of this graph right here. So it's very important to be cognizant of the environment, your industry, and even if you're getting into the business, a specific business, what the industry looks like for that specific business as well. Here's some other statistics around. This is my most wordy slide in the whole presentation today. And I really want you to focus on that last bullet. Several companies that have been established since 2008 rely on non-traditional types of employment arrangements with workers who typically use electronically mediated platforms such as websites and mobile applications to secure their work. We are talking about the Ubers. We are talking about the Lyfts. We are talking about the Airbnbs more than ever before. So what is what's screaming to all of us is this right here. More streams of income are necessary more than ever. You'll hear people talk about this every now and then, how I need to have more streams of income than where the main job is not enough. So that's another reason why having a side gig, as I like to call it, a side hustle sometimes, is very, very important. And there's so many ways that you can do so right now. But here's the other thing too. Our United States government promotes people starting business. They desire for you to start your businesses. There are many tax incentives that are provided to us to start our business. As an example, you can contribute more than $19,500 to your retirement if you start a business and are a solo employee by yourself. You can contribute almost up to $50,000 per calendar year. So that's and all tax free. That's just a small example of what the government is trying to do. But listen, it's not always an easy road, and we don't always pay attention to the signs that are around us. So what I always ask people is, what have we learned since 2008 about starting a business? If you remember, in 2008, there was a big economic crisis, housing bubble, auto bubble. These things were crashing, jobs were being lost. Lots of people started businesses right around there. But now we're in 2020, 2021, and a pandemic, and the economy is kind of in a state of flux right now. How and why is it a good time to start a business right now? I think there's no time like the present. I think this is a ripe opportunity to start a business from home. I think that's a great opportunity. And listen, I will also say this too: job security. What does that look like nowadays? What does job security really look like? I don't know if such a thing really exists. And I think it's very important for us to be able to stay on top of the economic cycle, to stay on top of what's going on around us in order for us not to have to respond or react to our environment, but to stay more proactive. I talk about that a lot in my classes that I teach. And of course, now today there's a pandemic. We have a virus that's floating around that makes things a little bit more edgy, that makes things a little bit more challenging. But still, ladies and gentlemen, still, this is a great opportunity to launch a business and be more proactive than a lot of your competitors who are still thinking about what life was like almost a year ago. A lot of people are thinking still return to normal. Peter James is not thinking return to normal. I'm thinking what the new normal will look like, because I know the new normal will encourage us to do more of these things right here, mask up on a regular basis, even though we have a what do you call it? I can't even think of the the vaccination. I can't even think of the name right now. We have a vaccine coming, but we're still going to have to mask up, and we'll still more than likely be working from home, right? And have we mastered that? Have we mastered that from a worker perspective? And have we mastered that from also a entrepreneurial perspective? So these are all the mindset shifts that have to take place in order for us to stay on top of or ahead of the game. And this entrepreneurship mindset is the ability to quickly sense, take action, and get organized under uncertain conditions. Trust me, this is an uncertain condition. This includes the ability to persevere, accept and learn from failure, and get comfortable with a certain level of discomfort. There's some truths about this entrepreneurial mindset. The number one truth that I like to say is this bullet number 5 here. We need to collaborate more than we compete. Sure, there's a lot of things that we need to do, a lot of things that we need to think about as it relates to this mindset, but we don't need to do this in a bubble. And oftentimes, especially in a time where we're mostly stay at home, we need to really embrace the opportunity to reach out to others for assistance. And there's no place like tonight. You're doing so right now by being here. Your local library is a place that you can collaborate and reach out to resources that are available to you. And this is just a tip of iceberg. There's some other things here, some other truths around the entrepreneurial mindset, but that number 5 is one of the ones that I love the most. Ladies and gentlemen, I definitely want to encourage you. Please don't hesitate to jump in and ask questions. This chat room is definitely open to you, and I would love to hear some of your questions around what you're thinking about your business, especially around this mindset stuff. We'll get more into details as it relates to some of the raw things that you need to start your business. But I would be remiss if I did not mention this mindset that you have to have. Well, here's the other reason why this mindset is so important. Roadblocks, hurdles, and obstacles, they're coming. More are coming for your business, especially roadblocks, hurdles, and obstacles. And it's important that we realize how to get over, through, or around them. We have to be able to do so. And and oftentimes what I see is that people will start a business, and when these roadblocks, hurdles, or obstacles come through, they bail out. They fall out. They just don't continue because it's challenging. It's too hard. I can't do this. It's not enough. I don't have enough resources around me. I didn't see this coming. This wasn't expected. But this is part of the game. This is part of the process. And if you definitely decide that you want to achieve this financial independence, it's important for you to embrace the bad days as well as the good days. And listen, there's too many opportunities to be able to do this today. I mentioned the ways that you can start your businesses today. Here are just a few of the ways that are available to us. So whether you're selling goods or you want to drive for others, And I'm not even suggesting that these are the things that you need to do, but this is a path to entrepreneurship for so many individuals today. This is almost like low-hanging fruit for you to gain the momentum. Let me say that again. These platforms right here are like low-hanging fruit for us to gain the momentum that we need in order to maybe branch out ultimately from these platforms and do more of our own thing for sure. And as I mentioned earlier, more and more we're seeing that contingent workers, the app workers, as I like to call them, or employment, alternative employment are becoming more prevalent in our society. The 9 to 5 for 20 to 30 years is becoming rarer and rarer. Let me say that again. The 9 to 5 um, for 20 to 30 years is becoming rarer and rarer. It's becoming very rare. So it's important that you go ahead and take the plunge. I love this graphic here. So many people I know have said, you know what, I got this great business idea. I want to start a business. And they'll even do business plans or brainstorm with me, but they never do it. They never take the jump. And I liken it to us being on a diving board and your friends and your family are in the pool and the water might be a little chilly, but you're hesitant. You don't jump in. You're scared. You're nervous. You even have floaties on to help protect you, but you don't do it. You just stay on the diving board. You might even walk backwards. But if you ever decide to jump on in there, you realize, wow, the water was great. I've gotten used to it. Why didn't I jump in earlier? What was wrong with me? What took me so long? And that's what I see a lot of people stuck on the diving board or on the edge of the pool. They don't go ahead and take the plunge because you really never learn this game until you jump on in there as well. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I definitely have 7 ways not to self-sabotage yourself. This is a little bit of bonus part of my presentation. I usually don't introduce this as well, but I want to, from a mindset perspective, what are some ways to prevent you from not succeeding, from prevent you from following on this journey, continuing to succeed overall? The number one thing that you need to have of these 7 ways is self-belief. So you might say to me, what does that really mean? Yeah, I believe in myself. No, do you really believe in yourself? Are you really all in on you seeing this through? And again, this goes back to this mindset conversation that I've been having with you all so far today. Two different types of people in this world, as is denoted by Dr. Carol Dweck, who wrote a book by the name of Mindset. In this book, she talks about two different types of people. The person on the right has a fixed mindset, very set in their ways, very much not willing to go out on a limb a little bit. Know that when they're frustrated, they give up. They don't like to be challenged too much. I'm either good at it or not. Way I hear about this in school a lot and in college is, I'm not good at math. Well, does that mean you can't get better at math, or you just kind of resorted to, I'm not good at it, I'm not going to try? The growth mindset individual, on the other hand, has thinks like this a little bit. Failure is just an opportunity for me to grow more. Challenges help me grow also. I like to try new and different things. And feedback, constructive feedback, is definitely something that I'm looking forward to have in order to grow more and have this growth mindset for sure. Good stuff. Good stuff here. So that was number one, self-belief, having that self-belief, which kind of leads to that growth mindset overall. Then there's, of course, your team. Who are you surrounding yourself with? I like to use this quote from Jim Rome. You are the average of your 5 closest friends or family. Think about who it is you hang around with the most. What are they like? What is their mindset like overall? And this quote right here kind of says it all. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. This was Napoleon Hill who said this right here, saying and knowing that anybody who you know who has achieved a great amount of wealth or has achieved a great amount of success, they have they surround themselves with the smartest people, with the brightest people, so that they can get that as well. Listen, we can do that also, even at our levels. We can surround ourselves with the right people. And it's important to be able to do so, because you need people to be able to support you on this journey. I liken this to a theory that I call the HOV theory. The HOV theory. So you're like, Pete, what's that? What is that really? So, we're on the Dan Ryan, and we're driving, and we're in traffic, when there was traffic like this, for sure. And we're by ourselves, and we look over to our left, and we see someone who's zooming by. What's the difference between the people in that car over there and us? Here's what it is. Usually we are driving by ourselves, and the people in that car are in the carpool lane. They have someone with them. And just as the people in the carpool lane are able to move a little bit faster, ladies and gentlemen, when you're surrounding yourself with the right people, you are able to make better and improve progress, as opposed to doing it by yourself. So even though we are a stay at home, and more having to distance ourselves, I encourage you all to find a good tribe, find good people to surround yourself with, in order to grow in your business. Number three, you got to have your plans and your strategies. We need our plans. And listen, I'm a guy who loves to plan and strategize all day long. I will partner with entrepreneurs, partner with business owners, and help them strategize for the future, help them prepare for the future to the best of our abilities. But what I hang my hat on the most is my execution. You can plan all day long, you can strategize all day long, but if you don't execute on those plans and strategies, they're just plans and strategies. I liken it to the chessboard. A chessboard, you're always thinking about not just your next move, but what are the next few moves that may be happening on the chess table. So very similarly, it's good to be able to do this by yourself. It's even better if you have others around you, going back to my previous point as well. Please, if you don't mind, if you do have questions, don't hesitate to jump on in. I'm going to pause a quick minute, get a little drink here, and make sure that I am addressing any questions that may come through the channels.
Don't have any questions yet. I did send a link to the book Mindset that you mentioned. It's available through the e-library, so feel free to check that out. We had some new people join us, so if you want, make sure you put in your chat, talk about yourself and your business. And we were reading those off earlier.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, thank you so much, Leslie, for that as well. Good stuff. Please don't hesitate to jump on in, ladies and gentlemen. Any question you might have, but definitely tell me who you are, what your industry is, what your business is that you're thinking about, or any questions that you may have as it relates to starting your business. So I'm talking right now the 7 ways that to prevent yourself from self-sabotaging. Number 4 ways are your mentors, advisors, and coaches. So very similar to having the right people around you. Who is pouring into you? Who are you listening to? And listen, this doesn't have to be a very structured mentor or advisor relationship, but maybe who are you listening to, or maybe asking questions of, that may be able to help you as you are growing or looking to grow your business. It's very important to do that. Listen, the most successful people, once again, or even the most successful athletes, they'll always reach out to a trainer. So now someone like Steph Curry, who's here on the screen, is already a very talented athlete, but he doesn't just stop right there. He brings on a trainer to help him get to his next level. Does he need a trainer? Maybe not, but he desires to have one to reach beyond even what he thought was capable. And I think that's the same way that we oftentimes, those of us who go to the gym, we know going to the gym by yourself is one thing, going with a partner or a trainer, totally other level. You're doing exercises that you would have never thought of on your own. So this is why I'm highly encouraging partnerships, advisors, coaches, mentors, and those types of individuals who will definitely benefit you in the long run. And yes, there is even some research that supports the benefits of coaching, mentoring, and advising. And here are some of those outcomes, why it's so important to work with others in your life, whether it is in your career or in your business. So this is number 4. Get those mentors, advisors, or those coaches in your corner. Number 5 is execution. So remember, I talked earlier about planning and strategizing, but this execution is so, so important. So many people get stuck on the side of the pool. So many people get stuck on the diving board. It's in time. It's about time for many of us to go ahead and hit that start button, hear the gun go off, and start running. You've planned and strategized enough. Now it's really time to go ahead and put the floor to the metal. And listen, execution is not just running willy-nilly. It requires a system as well. I'm reading a book right now, finishing up a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. In it, he's speaking a lot about systems and the systems that we need to put into place. He's actually even saying goals aren't even the primary thing that we need to focus on. We don't need to focus on goals. We need to focus on what are the systems that we're putting up in place to really get towards those goals. And his rationale is this: everybody's got a goal. People who fail had a goal. But the difference between those who fail and succeed are the systems that they're putting in place. And here are some things that a system really kind of characterize: daily actions, setting a schedule, sticking to it, focus on building the right identity rather than just worrying about getting the right result. So all of these are just ways to really get that execution to roll through just more and more as well. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have a little bit of patience and humility, because there is no such thing as an overnight success. Let me say that again for you all really slowly. There is no such thing as an overnight success. The media, the news, they like to promote that there is people who have one day gotten rich. The only overnight success that I know about is the lottery. And I don't know about you, we know about those stories. We've heard and read about those stories of people who've won the lottery, usually where they wind up overall. So patience and humility is a very important part of this process. Um, this is a process. It's not an overnight thing. So it's important that you put in the right amount of time. You are patient with this, and just kind of like just solving a puzzle. It is that type of patience in this process. Trust me as well. Yes, there will be also distractions, ladies and gentlemen. There are things that distract us on a regular basis. And what I also see a lot of times with new entrepreneurs, they get distracted by shiny objects. And today more than and it's not even just our young people. It's everybody nowadays that get distracted very easily. So whether it's your smartphone that can distract you with the latest buzz or the latest craze, or just some things in life that just take you down windy paths, this is just part of the process. And it's important that we also pay attention to our goal, know where we are headed, and follow the systems that we're putting in place in order to get there, and not get distracted. Sure, we might have to take a pause if there's a life situation that has to go on, but then we pick it right back up on the other side. So now, before I jump into these 9 steps to actually get the ball rolling, I gave you 7 steps to prevent self-sabotage, but these 9 steps are really what you need to kind of write down in order to start this business or get the momentum going for sure. Leslie, any comments at all coming through?
No comments, but again, we have some more new people who keep joining us. So please make sure to write in the chat who you are, what your business is, your industry. We love to hear from you and any questions.
We
Dr.
got some.
James is happy to answer them.
We have a quiet crew tonight. They want to do the ghosting. They're ghosting me a little bit. They're just watching me a little bit there, Leslie. That's okay though. I'm hoping they're getting a little bit of value from all of this, but I'm just thankful that you all are here. Please don't hesitate to ask any question under the sun as it relates to this entrepreneurship topic, or starting a small business ownership, or starting your business for that matter. Now we're getting ready to go into the phase of the 9 steps to actually get the momentum going, to get the ball rolling. Let's take a look at them right now. Number 1 is don't quit your day job yet. So some of you may still be working at a company right now, and you might even actually hate it, right? I'm not the individual who says quit your day job right now and just go cold turkey on this entrepreneurship thing. That's just not a wise move from my perspective. So I really think that instead of quitting your job right now, it's important to put your plans and strategies in place, even begin executing until the right moment that you need to quit your job and move along in the processes right now. So if again, my number one thing is don't quit your day job just yet.
Right, you do have someone else who's chimed in. Jose wants to start a trucking company.
Nice. Oh, Jose, I love the trucking and logistics business as well. I think oh, especially listen, if there's one industry right now that is probably booming from now for the foreseeable future, trucking and logistics, Jose. Whether you're looking to buy your own truck and manage it that way, lease one and manage it that way, or run your own business, I think you're onto something there for sure. So kudos to you for joining us tonight. So number one was don't quit your day job just yet. Number two is determine the need or opportunity and the demand for your product or service. So let's use Jose as an example, if that's okay. The trucking industry, the logistics industry right now, what are most people doing from home right now, right? They're ordering things. Amazon, FedEx, UPS, their business is booming. All the logistics and trucking and airframes and the shipping business are doing well, and they will be for the foreseeable future. So this is an example of, hey, really seeing what the need or the opportunity is in your industry to see if this is something that you want to jump into. Be aware, be cognizant of how how your industry is doing and and if there is a market for what you're interested in as well. So these are the 9 steps. Number one is don't quit your day job just yet. Number two is determine the need or the opportunity and demand for your product or your service. Good stuff here. We are rolling along with these 9 steps to get the ball rolling. And number three is complete the idea napkin. So listen, here's what this is right here. The idea napkin is this right here. Now, many people will say, oh, you need a business plan. You need a business plan. You got to have a business plan. And when I say business plan to some of you right now, you're freaking out a little bit. It's daunting. You think of a big, thick booklet that has all these things written in it. A business plan doesn't have to be that daunting anymore. If you look on the screen right now, this is an idea napkin, which really helps the new business owner or the new entrepreneur to really identify what are some specific things that I need to focus on before I launch. And these areas that are on the screen are musts. Who are you actually? What are you offering? What are your distinctive competencies that separate you from everyone else? Who are you offering it to, or who are your customers, your ideal customers? Not just your customer, who are your ideal customers? And last but not least, why do your customers care? Why do they care about what you're offering? If you can answer these questions to begin, you are well on your way. So you don't even need a true business plan to start off. You need to be able to ask a few of these questions on the idea napkin right now. So good stuff. Overall, that idea napkin is something that's so important. So we've looked at a few different things already. Don't quit the day job yet. Determine the need. The idea napkin, love that thing there. The next one is, I've kind of mentioned it already and dabbled in it already. Get an accountability partner. Peter, what's that? What is an accountability partner? Oftentimes we say we're going to do something and we tell ourselves in our head, oftentimes, even right about now in early January, we do New Year's resolutions and we won't share them with anybody. We won't say to somebody, hey, can you hold me accountable to get this next step done? So, what I'm asking you all is to get an accountability partner who's really going to be able to help you and say, hey, where are you at with this idea napkin that you need to put together? Let me take a look at it for you to see if you're on your path. Many of us don't like to do that because it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I will say, in order to really get to your next level, you have to get out of your comfort zone. And accountability partner is just one way to be able to do so. So we are rolling through these 9 steps, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. I get so excited with this stuff. I'll just go faster and faster and choke myself out to a certain extent. Funny. So yes, these are the 4 steps we've hit so far. Number 5, research the marketplace to see who else is doing what you do. Now, this 5th step is very important. When I tell people to research the marketplace for their competition, they're thinking, oh, I really need to know who is my enemy, my competition out there so I can really beat them. I'm not even asking you to do that. I am asking you to see who else is out there in the marketplace, see what they're doing, see how they're being successful. Make sure you can do what they do and do some of the things that they're not doing. Let me say that again. Research what they're doing well, but also research the things that they're not doing well and make sure you can fill in that gap. Because if you can do the things that they're not doing, customers will come to you. And that's why this research part of it is so, so important. So these 9 steps, we're rolling along with these 9 steps. Don't quit your day job. Determine the need. Complete the idea napkin. Get an accountability partner. And yes, research the marketplace to see who your competition is. The next one is determine if you need some type of training and then execute on it. So listen, some of us will need to get a little bit of brush up on some stuff or get some training in a certain area because we're not as well as we need to be in it to make money. Get your training, execute on it. Don't procrastinate. Especially if this training or this opportunity to get this training is free. And ladies and gentlemen, in many cases, you don't need a lot of money to get some of this training. Again, your local library is one of your first stops you should be to see what type of expertise you need in a certain area. YouTube is the next area. Some of the platforms like Udemy or lynda.com, which I think is LinkedIn Learning right now. Some of these are offering a lot of different training available. Udacity is another one also that are minimal to no money whatsoever for you to learn how to get better in your area. As an example, you may know how to do your business well, but do you know how to do your finances pretty well? Finances is one of the main reasons that put people out of business for sure. We are rolling through our 9 steps, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here on the screen. Loving this as well. Hope you're able to jot some of these down as you see them popping up here for sure. This next one, after number 7, of course, is what are your prices? And how are you able to test if those prices are good for your customers? Are your customers wanting to pay what you're charging? So how do you know if they are actually wanting to pay? You have to test the market. You got to ask them. Sometimes you have to survey them. Sometimes you have to really see, hey, would you be willing to pay this amount of money for this product or service? If they say absolutely not, go back to the drawing board just a little bit. And maybe even follow up with that question, well, what would you be willing to pay for this service? And it's very important. This number 7 is the reason why it's so important is because it's also important to pay attention to what our customers or our potential customers are telling us. Where I see a lot of entrepreneurs fail is that they have an idea and they just throw it out there and see what happens. No, see what the marketplace is telling you, see what your competition is doing, but definitely see if your customers are willing to pay what you have decided to charge for your product or your service. Ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling along with these 9 steps to starting your business for sure. These are like the must-dos for sure for your business. If you haven't done them already, of course, you saw the training thing, you saw the one here about your pricing for sure. The next one, okay, so now I've told you already about this idea napkin, but I don't want to stop there. Instead of the um, uh, big business plan that you keep hearing about, maybe it might be time to look at a one-page plan. I'm expanding the idea napkin now to something a little bit different. And listen, all of this stuff is out here on the internet. Oftentimes we don't explore this as well. And I love this one because it's a one-page business plan that is developed by a friend of mine, Chris Gillibo. He's got a few books out there on starting your own business. And actually, I think his book, Leslie, is called The $100 Startup. I'm sure you'll be able to find that at the library also, The $100 Startup. And in it, he talks about this one-page business plan. So look at some of the questions here. What are you selling? Who is actually going to buy this? How will your business idea help people? What will you charge? How will you get paid? How else will you make money from this project? How will your customers learn about it? How can you encourage referrals? And some other ideas and some other areas around obstacles, success, just a good way to really get the momentum going. Again, you don't need a thick document, but these resources here that I'm providing for you are what you really need to get the momentum going. I mentioned that one-page business plan. Here's a quick video on the business model canvas. Hopefully this plays. I don't know. I forgot. I don't know if I remember to put in the video, but Leslie, let me know if this plays, if you can hear the sound on this, please.
It's playing and we can hear it.
Great, thank you.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
And I will say, ladies and gentlemen, actually, the business model canvas here is what I use also for the entrepreneurship class that I teach. Students go through that business model canvas process, again, instead of a large business plan, so they can understand those areas that I've described overall as well. We are getting close to the end, ladies and gentlemen, of these 9 steps to get the ball rolling. We've looked at a few different areas. I think we're all the way over to number 9. And the number 9 thing that you should do is become legitimate. Become legitimate. So what does that really mean, Peter? Provide a structure to your business now. And the structure that many of you have heard about is, are you a sole proprietor? Are you a LLC? Are you an S Corp? Are you a corporation? Now become legitimate within the state of Illinois, in this case, of course, and go to the Secretary of State and file for whatever the structure is, your business. After you've done all this and you're gaining some momentum, looking to get some revenue, then become legitimate. Some people try to become an LLC before they start making money. I don't recommend that. It's important to get some momentum going, make some money, and then become legitimate and define your structure. There's no law against that. Please don't think that there's any strict laws that you can't make money without having a business structure. You can do so right now. I know many people who are doing it and are doing so, making a lot of money. And I recommended them to get a business structure for legal and insurance protection, more or less. But they're doing fine by themselves as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up, I do want to say, all these things that I've spoken about today are really some great ideas, some great concepts to put into place right now. But I will say this also, change gets more difficult as we get older. So I encourage you to jump in right now and don't hesitate, because this game is not for the faint of heart. It's really for someone who can really have a stronger mindset. And remember, some of the daily actions that you need to put in play are these on the screen right here: the set a schedule, the systems, sticking to it, focus on building the right identity rather than worrying about getting the right result. Instead of worrying about perfection, worry about doing the right things and putting the right things in place. And I love this quote by Robert Kiyosaki that says that great opportunities are seen with your eyes, are not seen with your eyes, excuse me, they are seen with your mind. And that's why this mindset conversation is so, so important. I have over time been able to adopt it myself, and it has not only allowed me to be successful at teaching at College of DuPage, where I teach business and entrepreneurship, but even in my own venture where I'm doing a few different things, launched a few different businesses that have allowed me to go ahead and take advantage of these opportunities that are before us as well. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a process. And we've spoken about all of these things here on the screen. And now I've got to ask you just one major question. What does this look like for you? Right? What does this now mean to you? What is one thing from this presentation today that you can take away and implement in the next 10 days? So I want to ask you all, everyone who's listening, hey, from this presentation, what is one thing that you could take away and do in the next 10 days? And put it in the chat, please, if you could. Put it in the chat. I'm gonna wait about 60 seconds or so, and put in the chat, what's one thing that you know that you can do in the next 10 days to get the momentum going, to get the ball rolling for your business opportunity or for your business success?
Well, people type, I will say, Dr. James talked about the Lean Business Canvas. We have that. I have available copy. If you want me, I have a free copy I can send you. It's scanned. We also have, through one of our databases, there's a digital version that walks you through and gives you samples of each step. It's called the Gale Business Plan Builder, available with your library card. So if you need help using that or you want some information, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll throw my email in the chat, and we can always, reference you back to this presentation, of course. But if that's your goal, we can help you with that.
Good stuff. Yeah. What is one thing that you can implement in the next 10 days? One thing. Please don't hesitate to put it in the chat.
We've got one person who's going to work on the one-page business plan.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great tool to be able to use. I highly encourage it. Just a great opportunity to get the momentum going with that plan and utilizing it moving forward for sure. What is one thing that you can implement in the next 10 days? Anybody else? I'll wait about 30 more seconds.
I think I'm definitely going to take a look at your reading list and go through some of those titles. It's a great way for some professional development.
Yeah,
the $100 Startup looks really interesting.
You love those books. I mean, listen, oftentimes we make this process a little bit harder than it actually is. It's really not hard at all to start a business. What's harder is to stay in a business, right? It's not hard at all to start it, but those who can really do some of these things that I've put here on the screen over these last few minutes here, those are the ones who can see it all the way through to the end, through towards their goals and their objectives for sure. Are there any questions as well? Any questions or comments about anything I've spoken about? It could be random. It could be related to your own specific situation, your nuances, some of the roadblocks and hurdles and obstacles that you're encountering. please don't hesitate to jump on in there and ask those questions tonight. I'd love to be able to address them and maybe even brainstorm those with you a little bit if possible.
Dr. James, I have a question about collaboration
Yes.
and slash networking.
Mhm.
What kind of avenues, what kind of organizations would you recommend people look for when they're looking to collaborate with other business owners, other organizations that could be assistive to them?
Yeah, so and I'll even answer the question in light of our current situation where we're in a pandemic, most of us are at home and everything like that. How can you reach out to other organizations? The lowest hanging fruit as it relates to collaboration is Facebook.
Sure.
And I hate to say it like that, and I'm not a lover of Facebook by any means, but Facebook has so many groups out there that will fit everything that you're thinking about looking for having collaboration with. It doesn't even matter. You think of it, Facebook's got a group for it. So, and trust me, I've been part of Facebook groups for entrepreneurs, for speakers, for coaches and consultants. I've been part of all of those groups on Facebook. And so I highly encourage that's your first step. The library, I believe, is your second step, where there's some the library will be able to tie you into local resources such as SCORE, such as some other business groups that will allow you to be able to collaborate with others who are in the same place as you are. And now, again, you can hold each other accountable for that matter. So I think those are, I would say, the top two ones right now in our current environment.
Sure.
Hopefully that answered your question a little bit.
Oh, definitely. And that's a great one.
Yeah.
And it's free.
And they're
both
free.
are free.
They're both free. Exactly. And I just love that word,
I really appreciate you also talking about models of success and looking at what other businesses are doing. I think that for me would be really, really important to not necessarily look at it as your, like you said, like your enemy, but
Right,
but in realistic in what your competition is, or what alternatives the consumer has.
Yeah.
To meet the consumer by having that consumer experience was always for me a jumping off point, was to
That's one of the best things you can do starting your business, is looking in the landscape and seeing what others are doing. Listen, don't dwell on what they're doing. Don't get consumed with what they're doing, but almost look at it as like a research that you're looking to see what they're doing, if they're successful and if they're not. Listen, if they're successful, you want to understand why they're successful, but then again, fill those gaps in, fill in what they're not doing. If they're not successful, you know what not to do, right? You know what not to venture down that path. But it's important to know who is doing what gaps they're filling, so that you can fill in those areas that they're not taking care of their customers for. And that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important. And again, I have to say, don't dwell on them, because some people get consumed with, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. No, this is more for research more than anything.
Right. I think also to look at yourself as your best competition.
Yeah. Oh, and sometimes our worst competition at that, because we get in our own way. So that's why I started out by talking, hey, how to make sure that we don't self-sabotage, right? So important. So yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that as well.
Terrific presentation. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I think the mindset is so important. We could talk about lists all day, but unless you're in the right place to take care of those lists, that makes them pretty hard.
Absolutely. Here's some ways to stay in touch with me for sure. I put out a Monday Morning Minute article every Monday morning as well. Don't hesitate to jump in there. You can actually access it with that last URL down at the bottom, and also that text at the bottom as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this phenomenal presentation this evening. Thank you so much for just even watching. I really do. If I could ever answer any questions, please don't hesitate, but definitely please take advantage also of your local library. Addison Public Library is doing some phenomenal things here, and I'm very honored to have them reach out to me to provide this presentation.